Hey guys, Kevin from Subispeed. We've got a big install ahead of us today. We're going to be installing the Mishimoto Front Mount Intercooler. Now we already have the Mishimoto Top Mount Intercooler and charge pipe installed on this car already, but this is going to allow us to get even more power out of that FA20. A lot of engineering and testing have been put into this, and it's been proven to significantly reduce air intake temperatures, and it's been rated to up to 600 real horsepower. So whether you're taking it out to the drag strip or out on the track, it's going to be plenty of power for most of you guys out there. That being said, let's jump right in and get started. Now this is quite a labor-intensive install, so you may want to set aside a day off to tackle this. First step is obviously going to be removing your stock intercooler. Like I said before, we have the upgraded Mishimoto Top Mount Intercooler and charge pipe kit installed, so it's going to be a little bit different, but it's basically the same process. You're going to start off by removing the two clips that are holding in your air intake duct, and then remove that. Now we're going to remove the two 10mm bolts that are holding in your passenger side fan shroud. Once you have those removed, go ahead and unplug it underneath, and then we can pull that out. Once the fan shroud is out of the way, that gives us room to start working on removing the charge pipe. Now for the stock charge pipe, you want to loosen up the worm gear clamp that's holding it to the stock intercooler. Remove the two 12mm bolts that are holding it to the turbo. You're going to need a set of pliers to loosen the spring clamp that's holding your blow pass valve to the intake inlet, and also remove the small hose to your blow pass valve. Once all those are out of the way, we can pull the charge pipe out. Once the charge pipe's out of the way, we can work on removing the intercooler. Unclip this hose right here on the bracket and remove the four 12mm bolts that are holding in your intercooler. 3 on the driver's side and 1 on the passenger side. Also loosen up the clamp that's holding your intercooler to the throttle body. Once you get the clamps loosened up and the brackets and bolts out of the way, we can pull the intercooler off. You may want to grab a helping hand. Once the intercooler is removed, go ahead and remove the remaining bracket on the passenger side, as well as the throttle body coupler. Next step will be removing your front bumper. There are 6 10mm bolts and 3 pop clips up top, 1 pop clip in each fender well, and 8 pop clips down below. Once you get those off, you can pull off on the sides of the bumper to pop the bumper off. For the pop clips in the fender wells, all you have to do is push in the middle, pull out a little bit, and then you can pop these off. Well guys, I lied. Looks like there's 9 pop clips on the bottom of the bumper, so go ahead and remove those. While you're down here, you're also going to want to remove your plastic under tray, which we already have removed. I believe there's just a couple pop clips that are holding that on and 2 bolts. You're also going to want to remove your skid plate, which is held on with 4 12mm bolts. Now when you're taking off your bumper, you want to be careful of the wires for the lighting, so you don't pull on those. Once you get the bumper off, be sure to disconnect all the wires as necessary. Now that the bumper is off, we can get rid of this styrofoam piece here, and then we're going to remove the stock bumper beam and replace it with the new Mishimoto bumper beam. There are 4 12mm bolts holding this in on each side, so go ahead and remove those, and we're going to reuse 6 of those to install the new one. All you have to do is lift up and pull out, and set this aside. Go ahead and install your new crash bar with the holes for the intercooler mounts facing up. Before completely tightening everything down, you want to make sure everything's centered. Now we can get the intercooler into place and bolt those down with the included 2 12mm bolts. Obviously we went with the black colored intercooler, but there is also a gold and silver version available as well. Once the new intercooler is installed, we can start working on getting the hoses and pipes into place. We're going to start with this blow pass valve hose right here. We're going to get this installed onto the intake inlet. You're going to need a pair of pliers to get that spring clip back into place. Once that first blow pass valve hose is installed, you can go ahead and install your new charge pipe. You want to transfer over the O-ring from your stock charge pipe to the new charge pipe and use the 2 12mm bolts to get this into place. Before you install your new charge pipe, you're going to need to use a set of pliers to remove these 2 hoses to have more room to get that charge pipe in. I ended up tightening the bolts for the new charge pipe through the top, which made it a little bit easier. Once you got that installed, we can install the blow pass valve. You want to grab this hose here, and the long end goes onto the charge pipe, and the shorter end goes to your blow pass valve. Once you have that hose installed, you want to throw on your T-bolt clamps. And then we can reinstall your blow pass valve or blow off valve. For the other hose that we installed earlier for the blow pass valve, you're going to want to install a worm gear clamp. Once you got that in place, go ahead and tighten those clamps down. Once you have the blow pass valve installed, you want to reinstall these hoses. Now, for most of you guys, the hose in this position right here will be your stock hose, which will need to be replaced with the hose that is included in the kit. We already have one installed, so I'm just going to reinstall this, but I will show you how to get that installed as well. All right, so to remove the stock hose, obviously you need to disconnect it from down there, and the other connection is under the AC compressor. Now, if you can reach that without undoing the AC compressor, go for it. But to remove the AC compressor, there are 4 bolts holding it in, and you want to unclip the wiring and all this wire loom and make sure it's out of the way. Once that's out of the way, you'll have better access to that connection down there. Once you've got that hose installed and back into place, we're going to move on to relocating your stock hose and the intake bracket. Now we're using the ETS intake that doesn't use the stock intake bracket, so we have that off. But if you use an intake that needs that bracket, you're going to use the new Mishimoto bracket and you're going to mount it back here. Now you're going to relocate the horn back onto this hole using the new 10mm bolt and nut. You're also going to want to unclip the clips that are holding in your harness so you have some slack once we get the piping through here. Now that we've made room, we can start installing the piping. I'm going to start by grabbing the 2 3/4 inch to 2 1/4 inch coupler and installing that onto the hot side of the intercooler. Then you're going to take the 2 1/4 inch angled coupler and install it onto your aluminum elbow. The long end goes onto the short end of the pipe. The shorter end of the coupler goes onto the charge pipe, and then the remaining end goes to the hot side of the intercooler. Make sure to not forget the T-bolt clamps once you get these in place. Once we got the hot side taken care of, you want to go over to the cold side and install the other angled coupler with the larger end to the intercooler. And then you're going to take this piping, and it's going to take a bit of finesse, but you're going to need to weave it through this opening here. Once that's in position, get the clamps on, and then we can move on to the next pipe. Now you want to connect the transitioning coupler to that pipe you just installed, and then grab this pipe, go ahead and install the throttle body coupler on there. Get all the T-bolt clamps in place. Now for the connection from the coupler to the throttle body, you're actually going to be using the worm gear clamp, so keep that in mind. Once you get the pipe installed, go ahead and tighten down all your clamps, and then we're going to start putting everything back together. Alright, well there we go guys. I made sure all the clamps and bolts are tightened back down. Everything's reinstalled and the bumpers put back on. All that's left to do now is to get this to our tuner, and we'll be making more power out of that FA20. If you want to pick up a kit like this for yourself, go ahead and click on the top right hand corner of the video. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to email us, sales@subispeed.com, or give us a ring, 888-885-2002. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on your 2015 WRX or SCI. Remember to hit that subscribe button for more 2015 WRX and SCI videos. If you haven't already, let us know in the comment section down below what other videos you'd like to see. Click that Subispeed logo down there to visit our website and connect with us through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We love seeing your guys' installs and projects that you're working on, so feel free to share those. Also add us on Snapchat by scanning that ghost over there to see what kind of shenanigans we're up to in the shop or when we're out on a trip. And if you haven't already done so, check out our latest videos. Till next time, guys.